Hey everyone out there, Kurt from FoolOnDrums.com here. Today we're going to be tuning snare drums. And as my high school health teacher always stressed, before we get started, we're going to go over the anatomy. And that's just going to give us a track to run on. That way when I refer to different parts of the drum, we all understand and agree on what I'm talking about. So snare drum components. First thing, top and bottom hoop. I'm sure everyone probably knows that. Lugs. Now this one's a goofy one because I hear this one get twisted up often. We have the lug itself and then the tension rod, the piece that actually bolts into it. And oftentimes people switch those around. So lug versus tension rod. You're also going to have the strainer, the part that actually turns your snare on and off. You're going to have everyone's favorite, the butt plate. If I flip the drum over real quick, you're going to end up with what's called the gut wire or the snare. Now, a quick history lesson where this came from was snares back in the day used to be made actually out of animal intestine because of the elasticity of it. Later on they switched to twine, but that's where the term gut comes from. Part of the snare drum that I want to make a quick reference to is the beds, which is where the snares actually lay over. On the bearing edge on a snare drum, they flatten it out so that you get a better contact for the snares to lay flat. It also helps increase sensitivity. So, tuning the snare drum, what I've gone ahead and done here really quick is I have taken each tension rod and I've twisted it down with my fingers and as tight as I could get them. So what that's supposed to do is I call it our 0 point. It makes it so that everything is supposed to be at even tension. So that way as we pull the head down, I don't have one that's significantly tighter than the other. We want to keep this even so you don't get any weird spots on the drum. So what we're going to do is called the cross tuning method. It's just like bolting down the rim on a car. Just pick any old tension rod or any lug and we're going to give it one full turn. The next thing you want to do is go to a lug that's the farthest distance away. So in this case I'm going over here and then we're going to repeat that process. Keep on going as far away as we can and just one full turn. Going over here and the last two here. Now we're going to flip the drum over. Bottom head is the same thing. However, I think you've probably heard different people talking about making sure that everything's tuned evenly. While that is important because you wouldn't want one part of the head significantly tighter than the other, I personally tend to run the lugs that outline my snare beds slightly tighter than the rest of the drum. The reason for that is you get that classic wrinkle here that seems like it's always so difficult to get rid of. So you can pull these a little tighter, plus as you get the tension tighter here, it tends to make the snares a little more sensitive at lower volume. If it becomes a big problem, go back to tuning it evenly and work it out. So we're going to do the same method, cross tuning. And again, I'm just trying to go as far as I can away from the lug I was on. And I'm just going to give a little bit of love to these snare lugs again here. Okay, so gone ahead, we pulled this down. I'm going to double check the top here real quick. You can just use your fingers for this. The way the head feels on the top is just as important as the way you tune it. The reason why is, let's think about it. This is the snare. It's the drum we use the most. It's the one we play the most notes on. Comfort is just as important as the sound of the drum itself. So you should try and pay attention to both as best you can. The tension I went with on this drum, we're actually tuning it up a little bit today. I know that Charlie would hate me for that, but then again, Chuckles the Hedgehog is just going to have to bear with me on this. So, I'm going to take it up just a little bit more. And now I'm just smaller twists. Don't need to go as big because you could over-tune the drum. So now I've got a tone out of it. I'm going to set my key down and I'm just going to go ahead. The snare is actually turned on, but that little twister knob on it, that allows you to finely adjust and fine-tune the tension that's on the snare gut itself. So I'm just going to tap the drum and turn it on. And there you have it. We tuned a snare drum. Make sure you tune in for part 2 of this episode because we're going to be grabbing this and perhaps maybe it's a evil twin and taking it for a test drive and see what we end up with. You might be surprised. Check it out. This is Kurt from FoolOnDrums.com saying see you next time.